Hey, it's time for another episode of Patio Stories. I'm Allan Karl, World Writer, your host, and here we are on my patio in San Diego. While the Instagram Live viewers are tuning in, here we've got a couple cats, Dar the Bengal and Dice the black and white one. A little piece on the patio, but you're going to enjoy the stories today.
And things are going okay here in the patio. We got the Persian cucumbers doing well. Lemongrass is a little out of control. Parsley, purple basil, oregano, thyme. And these things are called patio tomatoes. Perfect for patio stories. And a little chime for chiming in. What do you say about that? Let's switch this thing around. Here we are. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Let's get this kind of going on here. Welcome. It's Friday. Can you believe it? Anyway, it's Friday and it's day for patio stories. It's a perfect day for patio stories. Look at this. It's 5:30. It's happy hour. Why not? I got some great stories today. But let's get a little more comfortable. There. Okay. So, how's everybody doing out there? Huh? Doing good. Let's get the specs so I can kind of see what's going on here. Okay, Lucy and Andre, and we got a couple of you out there. Whew! I'm telling you, it's time, I think, for another haircut. Things are out of hand. I think I'm gonna have to get Angie back here, who gave me a haircut here on this patio during one of these patio story episodes. It's 73 degrees. It's good for a rosé. We're drinking an Alexander Valley Vineyards rosé of Sangiovese, and it is real crisp, clean. Good acidity. Wow. So, patio stories today. We're gonna take a thematic approach. I think we've been doing this in the past few of these. So today I want to talk about lost and found on the road while traveling, and we can also have a little bit of a introspective look about lost and found and in the time of Corona here, because often. I think with the challenging and questionable and just weirdness of our current times, a lot of us seem to focus more on what's been missing or what we've lost in our lives, rather than maybe looking at what you could find in those things. I've always been, I always say at the end of every road, you'll always find a new beginning. Problems are merely opportunities in disguise, and this is something I think perspective can really help with our state of being, our mental attitude, our just to be positive and to be happy is to focus on what we might find, maybe what we might find new, rather than what we're missing, rather than what we feel we've lost. I mean, there's certainly, I would, with many of you out there, I would love to just sit down and have you here sitting on the patio with a glass of rosé and cook up some killer stuff on the barbecue, and this kind of stuff. But in these challenging times, what I found is this garden. And some more time with the cats. Lost and found on the road. So, the most frustrating thing can be when you travel by motorcycle, and for those of you who are tuning in or watching this on the YouTube on the replay, you know that I've traveled all over the world, over 80 countries on my motorcycle. And a motorcycle certainly is not like you have a lot of room to put things. You gotta have some essentials. You have to have some spare parts. You have to have certain essentials, of course. But what you don't have is a lot of room. So everything has its place. It's not like I can strap a rollerboard that I would carry on an airplane onto the back of my motorcycle, where I could have all kinds of stuff. I mean, I have to be very decisions very clear. Like 3 shirts. Couple pairs of pants, maybe a pair of shoes because I'm wearing motorcycle boots, maybe a pair of sandals, and anyway, toothbrush, all that stuff. So what happens though, you get very used to where things are, where you put things. That's at least I do. Every time the computer goes in that spot, your toiletries go here. Everything's got its spot. So when you finally go and you look for something and you find something is not in its spot, it can be very frustrating. I mean, as much as bad as it is, and even in this small little cottage, and I don't get out of it much, but when I do go, where are the keys? I try to take that same approach to putting the keys in the same place every time I come home, but I'm not always good at that. But on the bike, pretty good. But there are a few times when you get off the bike and you start getting outside of your zone, you're keeping track of things. And I'm going to tell you, I should mention for those who are tuned in here, there we go. I know Lucy's tuned in live right here, has a copy of this book. But this is Forks, and you can see this is a new edition. It's the soft cover version. It's a gorgeous book, but it's a lot less expensive, $20 cheaper than it is the hardcover, which are still available. But I keep forgetting on these patio stories to remind people that this is now available. You can order it from my website. Of course, you can go to worldrider.com. It's in the sidebar. Or you can go onto the usual sites, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. They all have this book in the softcover. And I did that because a lot of people, for $50, it's expensive for a hardcover book. This is $30. And Amazon sells it for a lot cheaper, okay? So that's my book, Forks. It chronicles 3 years of my motorcycle adventures around the world, 35 countries, in photos, stories, and recipes with food. But anyway, getting back to Lost and Found. So here I am. I went all the way from the very top of the world in a place called Prudhoe Bay in Alaska and rode my motorcycle down to the very bottom in a place called Ushuaia in Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. It's the furthest south that you can take a vehicle. And then as I made my way from Ushuaia, Tierra del Fuego, towards Buenos Aires, I had to stop, it's a long ways. It's like 3,000 miles. It's like going from Tierra del Fuego to Buenos Aires is almost 3,000 miles. And it's like driving across the country. So it takes several days. So in one of those stops, I stopped in this little town called Bahia. And there's a longer name to that, and it's escaping me right now. But we'll just call it Bahia for the bay, right? And I had gone, found myself a little guest house, unpacked everything, got into my civilian gear, and I was out wandering around, as I'd love to do, just walking these little towns, figuring out where I'm going to eat, what I'm going to do. And in Argentina and a lot of Latin America, they have these little, think of them as convenience stores. They call them kioscos, kioscos. And typically it's like our places, lots of snacks and lots of candy. But in Argentina and other Latin American countries, they also have, cabinas or phone booths in there for very inexpensive international calls. And some of them have internet computers, internet cafe or hotspots that you can use. And so I had gone into this one kiosco. And I carrying my phone, and this is about the time, I think the iPhone had just come out, but I had a very expensive phone by Sony Ericsson running a very one of the first smartphone systems called the Symbian. And it wasn't in these even back then. This is going back 10 years ago. You couldn't get these phones subsidized by carriers, and it cost me over $1,000. But it had ability to access internet. Again, it was the first real true smartphone, and so I had gone in there, and I needed to make a call to some people overseas, to USA, and I used the cabine at this kiosco, and then I went in to pay for my for the phone time, and I paid them, and then I walked back to my hotel, went to bed, and got up the next morning as I got ready to go do my usual things, and I was looking around, and I couldn't find my phone. Where was that Sony Ericsson over $1,000 phone? I was going crazy, and I always set it right next to the bed and plug it in on the charger. The charger was there, but there was no phone. So I'm starting to freak out. My heart's beating. This is not something you can replace in Argentina, especially at this time. And I'm thinking, what the heck did I do? And all I can remember is that I had gone in and made that phone call in the cabina at the kiosco, and maybe I left it there. So I rush back. I mean, I'm like sprinting through this town to get to this kiosco, and the same guy that was working last night was still there. And before I could even say anything to him in my best Spanish, he says, "Oh, here." And he hands me my phone. That's right. He hands me my phone. Well, apparently what I had done is I had set the phone down on top of the candy that was, he was standing behind this, this pyramid of candy. Somebody new is in. Oh, Karen's joining us. Great. Hey there. We're talking about lost and found in the times of Corona here. Anyway, I could not believe it. First of all, that the guy is that honest, right? Which I shouldn't, I believe in people. I really do. I believe in the goodness of people. I've never really, once in my 81 countries and over 10 years of travel, have I ever been compromised and ripped off. But anyway, I'm digressing here. So the guy hands me my phone. He says, like it was just normal, like he was expecting me. He's like, why did it take you so long to come back here? And so I got my phone back. Fast forward, after I'd finished my explorations in South America, going all the way up to the Amazon River, and then shipping my motorcycle to Cape Town in South Africa, I began to explore the wild continent of Africa. And one of the first things I did when I got there is organize the bike, get some maintenance, get serviced, oil changed, make sure everything is good, because I am going into one of the wildest continents. In between, say, Cape Town and Cairo, really, there's no major city that would supply parts or accessories or things that I might need for my motorcycle. Maybe the capital of Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, where's Dar? I named my cat after that beautiful city, Dar. Maybe there, but even that's questionable. Cairo would be the next stop, and that is the whole length of Africa. So we get that set up, and I'm pretty okay with the usual things. My tires are fine and everything. So I start cruising, and I cruise all around. I circumnavigate South Africa. I go to Lesotho, which is this enclave, this country that's surrounded on all sides by Africa. It's like an island country. And then I went to Namibia, over into the Caprivi Strip, to Angola and Botswana, and then up into Zambia. And in Zambia, I started having a bit of a problem with my fork seals leaking. And what happens when the fork seals leak is fork oil, will drip down onto your brake pad, and then that reduces the stopping power. Oil, not really good on brakes, reduces the stopping power of the bike. So I was like, okay, this is something I need to take care of. Now here I am in Lusaka. It's the capital of Zambia. It's a tiny town, but this is where I am. And I start asking around. I'm searching on the internet, and it turns out that there is a British guy, or an expat. He runs a business harvesting cotton here in Zambia. He's got plantations all over the country. And he also is the KTM motorcycle dealer. Now, it turns out that not a lot of Zambians are interested or even have the means of buying KTM motorcycles. These are Austrian-built, very competition-driven motorcycles, and mostly off-road or dual sport like mine. But it turns out he is the dealer. He has some bikes, but he also employs a full-time mechanic. And the good thing is I carry a spare set of fork seals on my bike. But what I didn't have are the tools or the capacity and the workspace to actually replace those fork seals. I hate replacing fork seals anyway, so I would never want to do this. Anyway, for those of you who love to do that, good for you, man. I'll watch and take pictures. Anyway, so I've got the fork seals. I just need the mechanic. So I get a hold of this dude, the KTM guy, and he's out of town on one of his plantations, but he connects me. The guy's name's George. Big, black guy. I mean, arms as thick as my legs, with a heart of gold. So I hung out with him while he muscled around my fork seals and replaced them. And then as I'm just sitting around, looking at the different bikes in there, and it's not, this is, by the way, there's no dealership, there's no storefront. This is in the guy's house and a separate building that he houses for his garage. That's where the KTM dealer in Lusaka, Zambia is. Which, by the way, if you had watched any of those with Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman's Long Way Down, Long Way Around, and now they're doing one called Long Way Up. Well, in the Long Way Down episode where they went from Scotland all the way to South Africa, they had their motorcycles serviced too by George here at this KTM dealer and in Lusaka, Zambia. Anyway, as I'm kind of probing around, just kicking, taking pictures of him and looking around, I spot a set of tires in the back corner, tucked behind a 55-gallon oil drum of some sort, and and I'm looking at them, and I realize those are the all right, Masafi, or however we say that. Thank you for tuning in. And I look at them, and I kind of roll them out a bit, and I see that these tires are the exact same tires that fit my motorcycle. Now, mind you, my motorcycle has a 17-inch rear tire. It's very odd in the global world of kind of rear tires. Most of them are 18-inch or other sizes, but 17 is an odd size. So finding one in sub-Saharan Africa would be a chore anyway. And I go to George. I says, "Hey, are those tires for sale?" He gets on his cell phone, he calls the boss, and sure enough, he'll sell them to me. So, although I still have quite a bit of tread on my tires, I suggest that to George, why don't you just go ahead and replace the front one, okay? You replace the front tire on this motorcycle with one of these new ones, and then I'll carry the rear one, and maybe when I get to Dar es Salaam, or when I'm still, I want to get some more miles out of my tread, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't want to have to carry two big tires on the back of my motorcycle. I'll carry one, the rear tire. So anyway, he puts the front tire on. I got new fork seals. I strapped that 17-inch rear tire. These are nice. These are Pirelli tires. These are not like what you usually find in Africa. Something built in Vietnam or Thailand or Brazil. These are Italian-made tires, super high quality, super perfect for what I need. So I strapped that tire to the back of the to the back of the BMW, and I take off and head towards Malawi. That's where my next country is. And between the capital of Malawi, which is Lilongwe, and the capital of Zambia, Lusaka, where I got my tires and my fork seals picked, is pretty much nothing. There's hardly even electricity out there, let alone any kind of gas stations or services. It's all these remote plantations where people live in these round rondula huts, and they're communities that are run by village chiefs. And as I'm cruising along, I go ahead and notice on the side of the road a woman dressed in a very colorful dress, and she's standing next to these large sacks, burlap sacks, colorful sacks of charcoal. And what they do is they make charcoal by burning wood underground and burying it, and then they go to the market to sell it because there's no gas for stoves and things. This is the fuel for how they cook their meals. And I stopped there just because I'm curious, and I'm a friendly type and I want to talk to her. She speaks a little bit of English, and before I know it, this man, elderly guy, comes out. He's wiry, thin, but full of energy. He's like bouncing off the walls, and he's so excited to see the motorcycle, and he wants to show me his home. This guy is the village chief of this particular community here. So I get my camera, which, by the way, sits in the back black top case, and I had taken the rear tire that I was carrying, and I kind of used it like a donut. I stuck it on top of the top case, so I have to kind of move the tire a bit to get to my camera. Anyway, we do that. We have this whole time. He feeds me caterpillars. Have you ever had caterpillars? Dried ones? Have you? They're salty. Cheers to salty caterpillars. Okay. Anyway, so after it's all done, I got to pack the camera in, put the tire back on, and get on the road. And we all wish our goodbyes. She goes to the market. He does his village chief duties and makes dried caterpillars in the sun. And I head to Lilongwe, to Malawi. And after about It's probably 2 or 3 hours to get to the border, which has always got lots of things you got to do, customs and taxes and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I'm probably a half an hour before the border, and I'm just cruising along, and it's just a good ride. The road's pretty good, couple muddy spots, some bad things. And then I look in the rear view mirror, and I look in the other rear view mirror, and I have a shock. Kind of like that shock I had when I was in Argentina when I woke up in the morning and didn't have my phone, because now I don't see the tire. I grab a handful of brakes, stop, pull over the side of the road, and sure enough, my tire is gone. The strap is gone. It flew off the back of my motorcycle. And I'm thinking, wow, the only rear tire in all sub-Saharan Africa, and I've now lost it because somehow I didn't secure it well enough to the back of my bike. Man. What a day. So what I do is I start thinking, well, maybe if I just start traveling back, I can see it. It's on the side of the road. Well, of course, when a tire rubber like that probably flew off the motorcycle, and there's no shoulders. This is just a 2-lane road. One lane going east, one lane going west, and it's narrow. And everything else is wild jungle. So I think, though, maybe I can do this. So I cruise. I stand on the top of my pegs. I'm gazing out. I'm motoring, and I go back, almost all the way back, as far as that village where I met the woman and the village chief, the head man. No sign of that tire. I stopped and asked a couple people, but nobody knew anything. Then as I'm heading back, I've given up. All right, I lost the tire. Money out of the pocket, another challenge I'm going to have to deal with down the road. Well, at this point, I have to tell you that another sunken stomach feeling comes when the reserve light for my fuel lights up. And it's an amber glow right in my face. And I know I can get anywhere between 30 and 40 miles. Call it 60 or 70 kilometers once that reserve light goes on. I still have 2 hours or so to get to the border, and then I got another half an hour or more to get to capital Lilongwe. And I know what's on this road I'm traveling. Nothing. And there's no gas station. So I I cruise along, and the only sign of any settlement on the roadside is a few kind of huts and buildings with kind of these little minivans that they use as public transportation, but they're all private individuals, and this is how people move from market to their villages, and they stop at this one little spot. So at that spot, I decide to ask these people, maybe somebody has, I've got a hose. I do carry a siphon hose. It's another one of those essentials I carry. Then I have a siphon hose. So if I possibly, maybe I could buy some gas from somebody. I just need probably 2 liters, maybe 3. Anyway, the guy says, no problem, we can get you some gas. And they guide me through the behind there's a couple buildings. It's this dusty, there's nothing paved. And sitting in the back of this guy's house, which opens up to the rear like an alley behind, he's got a 55-gallon drum of gas. I'm thinking, my God, that's got to be pretty dangerous and explosive. So he says, okay, well, we can give you the gas. And then what he does is he has this little, galvanized gas container, and he starts pumping with the little pump like this, gas into the galvanized, then pours it into the motorcycle, and keeping track and counting how many liters I'm using. Each one of those galvanized can filled to the top is 1 liter. So after taking about 10 liters, paying these guys, which was a big negotiation, I get on the road and I head into Malawi. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm still sore about losing that tire. But what happens to me next makes me even sadder. It starts pouring rain. I get cleared through the border, but because I am carrying in my the way my suit is set up, there's a Gore-Tex liner that's underneath the jacket, so the jacket gets wet itself. I keep my cell phone here, and I also keep a black Moleskine book that I keep all my trip details, people's names, numbers, when I spent money, where I got gas, all of this kinds of stuff. And I have a dry bag, and basically a dry bag is something you put this in, you fold the top several times, and you could be on a raging river and no water will get inside. So that's what I do. I put it in everything into my dry bag. But instead of putting it back in its same place, and remember, as I started this call, everything has its place. I always put the phone here. But this one time, I put the phone in, there's two pockets in the front, right down here. And when you sit on the motorcycle, those pockets kind of tend to fold out, onto your thighs. So anyway, I get down the road a bit, and the rain subsides, so I stop to get my things together, and then I realize, holy shit, my phone and that dry bag and the Moleskine book are gone. I am devastated at this point, because not only did I almost totally space out and leave it in a kiosco in Argentina, now I've really done the stupid move, and I've lost it because I put it in the pocket and never goes in, and probably from bumping around, that my thighs kicked up on that and booted that phone off, and it's on the road back there somewhere. Once again, I go looking around. It's in a blue bag. It's not hard to see, but no sign of it. So now I've lost my only rear tire that I know I'll find that's of quality in sub-Saharan Africa, and I've lost my now very expensive smartphone, and my Moleskine book, which has people's names and addresses and a lot of memories and writings that I put in there. Devastated. Well, I'm going to tell you, 2 months and 4 countries later. Let me back up. 1 month and 2 countries later, I'm in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and I get an email address from a woman named Martha. She's found that book. As we communicate, there's no sign of the phone, but she goes on a mission to try to find the men who found the book. She ran into these men who didn't understand the language in an internet cafe. She was sitting at a computer next to these two guys who were talking to the owner of the internet cafe about this book they had found. Well, she goes and retrieves the book from me because my email address was in there. That's how she found it. And eventually sends that book back to me. And I get it and she ships it to me in Cairo. That's where it gets delivered in Egypt many months later. As far as the phone, I had the information, so I knew how to. They put a stop on that, the MAC address and the whatever they do in their magic in the telecom business, so that phone became all brick and unusable. But it still doesn't help me. I still need that phone, and that phone's not available here in Africa. Well, another month later now, so 2 months since I lost that tire, and 2 more countries. Now I've already gone. I've gone into Rwanda now. And I'm sitting in my hotel, and I'm opening up my Wi-Fi, connecting my computer to Wi-Fi, and I get an email, and it has a subject line, "Your tire," and it's spelled Tyre. I'm like, what? That's weird. It must be spam. So I click on the email, and it's from a gentleman who works at a missionary in Zambia, and he says that he found my tire. Now, the real mystery is, how did this missionary find me? So I contact the guy I bought the tire from, and the missionary agrees to rendezvous with him. And the guy who I bought the tire is the last tire that fit my bike in sub-Saharan Africa, and he promises to ship it to me in Cairo. Lost in Zambia, lost in Malawi, my Moleskine book, lost my tire, but found and returned in Cairo, in Egypt. So sometimes losing things is tough, but what you find gives you a good story for the patio, and it certainly gives you a good opportunity to reflect on the kindness of strangers and how even in the wildest remote part of Africa, people can find you and remember you. So that's the Patio Stories for today. Let's see if we got, if anybody had any questions. Okay. Pancha, how are you? Good to have you. Hello. If there's any questions, I'll stick around for a couple minutes. But other than that, I'm hoping I have I'll do another patio story. I got stories. They keep coming. They keep coming. But maybe on Sunday or Monday, I'm gonna get Angie back here to cut my hair because it's just going out of control. So much so, I just want to mat it down with the hat. Rudy just joined us. I'm going to bring in a guest right now. I'm going to bring in Rudy Maxa. This is spontaneous. This is fantastic. Rudy Maxa is an Emmy Award winning travel host. He is the Savvy Traveler. He's Rudy Maxa Tours. He's got a radio station, a radio show, a travel show that broadcasted like 400 maybe 500 radio stations across the country. This guy is a legend. He was on my Journeys webcast the other day. Let's fun. Rudy, he just missed the story though. See if Rudy, there he is.
I didn't know you could do this. I thought I was just saying I'm watching. I didn't know you could put. Well, I just dimmed the television.
Look what you can do on Instagram Live. There's a guy who was on one of my Journeys webcasts early, Ryan Pyle. I don't remember him. He was in Istanbul with a kitten.
Yeah.
But he, while he was 5 months in Istanbul under lockdown, he did an Instagram Live every day, and 100 of them, I think, is the total number that he actually did like this, but bringing on guests like this, just doing it. And I was on 6 times on his, he called them the COVID calls. So yeah, you can do this.
Well, I didn't. I'm sitting here reading the July 22nd Wall Street Journal. I'm a little behind.
Oh yeah, you're going to be a little behind. The stock market's gone up since then.
Yeah, well, I'm going backwards. And Rachel Maddow's on, and I had Instagram just open on my phone, and it said, "Oh my gosh, Alan's doing a thing live, which I've never seen, and then I clicked
Yeah.
on this just meeting I'm here. I had no idea. Thank
So this is
God.
a, this is a thing I do, once a week,
Well,
once every other week
does this
when I
stay?
get around. I call it Patio Stories, and
I've heard you
I
about
tell
Patty, but does
stories
this
from my
stay up
travels.
somewhere after it's done? Does it stay up somewhere after it's done?
Yes, it goes up onto YouTube after it's done. Yes. So there's
You
already.
put it on YouTube, though.
I think this is the not automatically. You gotta download it, and it goes up on IGTV as well. Which is part of Instagram
Right,
TV,
right, right.
IGTV.
I got to try this, but I'm just here randomly. I mean, I want people to think we set this up. I just happened to sign on the second
Well,
you signed on.
there's a little link there that you must have clicked and said Rudy's asking to be on your live video.
I didn't ask to be on. I just wanted to. Well, your
So,
friend who had
but now
your
now that we got you on, and now you're the you're an official remote guest on Patio
I know, but the
Stories here.
guy who had
And
the guy who had 100 did 100. Did he prearrange for guests or did he do it
yes,
just whoever
yes,
popped up? Oh, he
prearranged. Yeah,
prearranged guests. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
prearranged.
I don't have the light
So
on. I have
usually
my
I'm
beauty
just
light
here
on.
talking. Yeah,
Talking to
usually I'm
yourself.
here just for about a half an hour or so. I don't know if it tells me how many minutes I've been on, but we have people pop in and out, and then of course they go. But I just sit here and tell stories, and people can comment, they can ask questions, and So since I got you on,
Yeah.
you are the travel guru, and you had a very interesting guest on the other day who runs tours, seemed very positive that tours are going to reboot, maybe even in the spring.
Yeah.
You also are a tour operator. What do you think is going to be the golden age of when the golden age of travel, and where you'll be able to freely
Oh, Alan, I don't know. I
What
mean,
do you
I
think,
would hope
Rudy?
for spring, but I hope for spring. I would hope for spring, but I don't know. We have two Christmas market tours, one in the last week of November, one first week of December, which we haven't canceled yet, but that would require the ability of us to go as Americans into Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, which may not be possible. But then our other tours don't start, you're right, until late spring. I'm hoping by late spring, but who knows? Your cat is escaping, by the way, over your shoulder.
It's
No, no,
okay.
just sitting. Okay. Uh, I don't know. People have asked me to give some speeches via Zoom. Just talk for 45 minutes or so about the future of travel. And I go, I can't. I, I don't know what to say for 45 minutes. I don't have the answers, Yeah, I could talk about things hotels and airlines are doing different because of COVID. But 45 minutes on the future of travel? Who knows?
Yeah,
I
who
don't know.
knows exactly.
What do you think? Do you have an opinion?
I have a feeling that, and I said this. I mentioned this in a previous patio story out here, where I believe that how the yellow fever card is something you have to use in certain areas that that you've been vaccinated for yellow fever. It's particularly in African countries and a couple in South America.
Right.
That we're going to have something the equivalent of a digital.
We've had the
Proof
shot
of inoculation.
or
It's going to
whatever.
have and it's also going to allow us to, when we land, the authorities in modern world and third world countries are going to not let anybody in unless they've got proof of a vaccination, and or they are given and administered a test at the border and are paid for it, which we heard that they're doing in Croatia, on your show the other day. But I believe we're going to have a everybody, and everybody's going to have a proof, because they're not going to let anybody in. And until we have that vaccination, I don't think we're going to see much travel at all
I think you're right. By the way, Adam, I just got a thing on my screen saying Adam Housley is starting a live broadcast, which I think I need to go be a guest on Adam's show. I don't know. No, we know of each other. We don't know each other.
Oh,
But this is the first time I've been on Instagram when anybody's announced a live broadcast while I've actually had Instagram open. So it's very exciting.
so
But I'm
this is
glad
very good, and I'm happy to and honored to have you on here again. As people have been listening to me for the last 20-30 minutes, I did this. I told stories for those of you who joined a bit late. I told stories with the theme of lost and found, and how tough it is when you lose something when you're traveling, but how amazingly, even after me making some personal stupid moves, I had uh, items found and returned to me, including a tire that flew off the back of my motorcycle in
Right, I
Zambia.
remember that
So,
story. Did you tell the
yeah,
story
so
about your
if
brother?
you,
Did you tell the story about your brother and in the
I,
hotel in
I've not
Africa?
told, I've told that one on here. Yes,
Okay,
actually, I have told that one on here.
all right.
So there's about 7 or 8 of these patio stories up on YouTube right now, and they're
Okay.
usually shorter. It's just me telling the story. Once I had that's what I was just talking about. I had my hair cut here while I was telling a story, and I've convinced Angie, the owner of the salon, to come back here maybe Sunday or Monday. So I'm going to do another one Sunday or Monday,
My
and
haircuts don't take long enough to do have a long conversation. So.
so
Yeah.
I'm having a rosé.
Oh, good. Well,
Uh, from
I
Alexander Vineyards,
nice.
Alexander Valley Vineyards. It's a rosé of Sangiovese.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a lovely evening there, warm in Southern California like.
It's lovely. After this, I'm going to go on a bike ride and I'm going to go watch the sunset. You still there?
Okay. All right. Well, do you
Or
want to
did
bring somebody
or
else
did we
on and I'll
use?
get out of the picture here? You want, you want to bring someone
Nope.
else
I'm
on
going
and
to
I'll get out
go
of your
and
picture here?
I'm gonna shut down Patio Stories. Did you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I already asked you when can we go to Europe, and you did
Yeah, yeah,
the question
uh,
I get asked today. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, this was very spontaneous. I love having you on. Maybe we'll do this again on Patio Stories, and maybe this is going to inspire you to do some Instagram live
Well,
um,
I'll
events.
you'll well I'll have to ask you how to do it since you basically taught me how to do a webinar. You're gonna have to do this. So yeah.
Yes. All right, man. We're in. We're in.
Okay. I knew
Um,
about stories, but I thought you did it for Facebook, which I didn't understand either. But I didn't know you were doing it on Instagram and then putting it on Facebook. So
yeah, and the YouTube, on Instagram, YouTube. And what I may do. Here's a little tip. I might try this. But you need another device. So I have an iPad. Is to go and do an Instagram patio story live and a YouTube live, and simultaneously. So I have the two devices. So it has a broader range of um, audience members. Hey. By the way, this is something I always say in my patio stories, but I almost forgot. I did talk about my book Forks, which Rudy is
yes.
a proud owner of a signed copy. But please go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. And if you're watching this on the replay, subscribe right now. That's what I want you to do.
Can I put in a plug for my weekly newsletter?
Yes, put in a plug for your newsletter. Absolutely.
I write a fun, interesting, I hope fun, interesting newsletter every week on Thursday. It's not selling anything. It's just travel news and gossip and what I'm thinking. And if you just go to maxatours.com and scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you can sign up for it. It's free. There you
It's
go.
actually
There's
a
my.
really good newsletter, and it gives a lot of good tips. Maxa, Maxa Tours, Tours.com. Scroll to the bottom, sign up for Rudy's travel newsletter. It's nothing sold. It's a very informative and off the cuff, and I look forward to reading it every Thursday.
Thank you. Do I have to pay for that? Do I have to pay you for that? What?
No, 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 no. But I'll get it out of you
Oh,
another
thanks.
way.
Okay.
Probably wine.
All right, App. Okay. Take
Okay,
care, Alan.
Rudy. Thanks so much for
Thanks for
tuning
having
in.
me
This has been
on.
great. My guest spontaneously has been Rudy Maxa of Maxa Tours. And this has been, I think, my ninth. I'm pretty sure this is the ninth Patio Stories. And if you just tuned in, I will get this posted up on YouTube either later tonight or tomorrow, because these were great stories brought to you from Argentina to South Africa to Zambia and the capital Lusaka to Lilongwe and the capital of Malawi, all the way to Dar es Salaam and to Cairo. Incredible stories. Go back to look for that announcement on YouTube and watch it. And I'll probably do another patio stories this weekend. So if you see it, pop on. They're always fun. Thank you. You've been listening to World Rider, me, Allan Karl, This is Patio Stories, and thank you for tuning in.